All right. Back at it with the WMAY morning news feed. I'm Greg Bishop. It is now 7:55, and let's check in with Change Illinois' policy director, Ryan Tolley, joining us on the WMAY morning news feed. Ryan, thanks for taking time, and let's get right into it because lawmakers calling themselves back for a special session. The House and Senate saying, members, get back here. We got to redo the maps. This after they had to redo the budget. Give us a bit of a background here of what's going on and what Change Illinois wants to change about this process. Good morning.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks for having me. So lawmakers are going to come back in a few weeks to revisit the state legislative maps that have already been signed into law by Governor Pritzker. And a big issue from the spring was that we did not have the 2020 census data available. And so lawmakers decided to go ahead and draw maps on some projections, the American Community Survey data. And now that we just got the census data, we've come to realize that what we had been concerned about during the spring is that the American Community Survey data was not adequate enough for drawing legislative maps. We know that a few of the districts, the population sizes are so vastly different that, voters in some districts are going to have way more voting power than others, and then some are going to have a lot less because the districts are overpopulated the way they are. So we're really hoping that when they do come back to do the maps, that we see a little more transparency and a little more access from the public to be able to have a say in how these districts should look, because we really didn't see that in the spring. There were a lot of hearings, but people really did not have the chance to weigh in and influence how those maps were being shaped.
So we did have those hearings, and a lot of various groups from MALDEF to groups representing a variety of other minorities. They said, just wait for the full census data. But it seemed that lawmakers with the Democratic majority were really pushing to get before that June 30th deadline. Ryan, we've got a lawsuit from MALDEF and Republicans pending in court, and the Republicans asking for summary judgment against the maps, saying that essentially Democrats missed the deadline here, and it's time for a bipartisan commission. Should that be where the next step goes in this?
It's difficult to say. I mean, we have not seen ourselves in this position before. The delay of census data is the first time this has ever happened. So this is an unusual situation. I think it will be interesting to see kind of how the court rulings play out now that the census data is out and how that will affect the ongoing lawsuits. Typically in a suit like that, the court does kick it back to, if there needs to be changes, kicks it back to the original authority, which would be the General Assembly. So I think there might be an interest, for part of the interest in coming back is to get ahead of that and say, maybe there is, maybe there are constitutional issues with the maps now, but we went ahead and fixed it. But I do think that how the process played out in the fall and where advocates like us were coming and saying, this data is not going to work, and we were ignored this time around. They can't ignore those voices. They have to really listen to what people want and make sure that these districts best serve Illinois, communities around Illinois, rather than political interest, party interest, so that, the maps do, moving forward, are best serving the people of Illinois.
Ryan Tolley, he is the policy director for Change Illinois, saying that lawmakers need to redraw these maps with public input. And what should that look like? They've asked for the public to submit maps and testify. Is that what we're looking for here? Is that kind of transparency?
Yeah, so state law requires that after the census data is released, that each chamber should hold 4 meetings, so that at a bare minimum. But they really need to have a dialogue with the public. What we saw in the spring was kind of the thanks for doing your civic duty for being here, here's the door. And so we really need them to engage people in a dialogue, and we need to see that those suggestions are actually being implemented in the maps. I don't think it's enough for them to go back and tweak a few districts to come into bare minimum compliance with the federal constitution and the state constitution. They really need to look at this from a fresh start and start over and get these maps that are really based on public input, not on, ensuring that a district stays 86% intact for the incumbent.
Ryan, that's all the time we've got. Greatly appreciated. This is WMAY Springfield, W234CC Sherman, W273DR Springfield.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Dan Lieberman. The White House says the U.S. has evacuated